Hi everyone, my name is Chris Carlson, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this cool buffalo chalk drawing. To begin, I'll talk about the supplies I use to create my chalk drawings. From left to right, the blue rectangle is a foam pad to kneel on while you work. Next is the box of soft pastel chalks I use. Any brand will do, just make sure to avoid oil pastels. Next, the dark rectangle in the middle is a carpet square sample. I use this to blend the chalk into the ground. Then we have a rag for cleanup and a measuring tape. This is the design that we're going to be working from. It has a grid over the top so that you can lay in the line drawing nice and accurately, and this will make everything go a lot more smoothly. And finally, this is the full color version that we're going to create. To begin, I'm going to create my grid on the pavement. So my space is going to be 3 feet by 3 feet. Your space could be whatever size you want. The grid is set up as 6 units tall by 6 units wide. So that could be 6 inches for you, that could be 6 feet, whatever works best for your space. And I'm making my lines with very faint white chalk. I'm using very little pressure because in the end we're going to erase this grid for our final product. Now that I have my grid created, I'm laying in my line drawing using the provided reference photo. You can see I have that photo pulled up on my tablet and I'm just following the grid, putting the lines where they're supposed to go. You can see there I made a little mistake on the horn, used the wet rag to correct it, and just keep moving forward. In this stage you want to be using very light pressure because you're not quite sure that your lines are in the right spot. As you get more confident and you feel like your lines are where they need to be, you can use darker pressure and start to blend the chalk into the ground. So I keep moving forward like this. Light pressure followed by darker pressure as I feel like things are in the right spot. You can see the drawing getting a little darker, looking a little cooler. This is the process I would recommend to avoid any difficult corrections. At this point the line drawing is looking pretty good and I'm ready to start adding color. So I switch over to the color reference and I'm starting with the horn, and the technique I'm using here is just making marks with the chalk and then using my carpet square to blend it into the ground. And this allows you to get a much better color saturation because the carpet square or whatever blending tool you choose to use, it could be a piece of styrofoam, a piece of pool noodle, anything that's soft enough. That will help the chalk particles get into the nooks and crannies of the pavement and create a much better color saturation. So I just keep moving forward like that, kind of following the reference image, putting each color where I think it should go. And I want to encourage you to experiment with whatever color scheme you might think looks best. If you like what I did here, definitely follow along, but also feel free to make any changes that you think might look cooler. So now I'm kind of slowing down a little bit as I get towards the eye. Eyes are always the most fun part of any drawing. So here I'm using a little trick where you do dark black around the eye except for a blue and white highlight, and this will help the eye look nice and shiny. And now I'm going to switch sides and start working on the nose. And the nose is going to be the same kind of blues and purples as the horn. So one thing I want to make sure I'm focusing on is getting the nostril nice and dark, and then also including some light highlights on the nose, like maybe there's some moisture that's condensed there and it's kind of reflecting light back at us, and this will make the nose look more realistic and kind of lively. So once I've got the nose finished, I'm moving forward with a second coat on the rest of the head. So the first coat is just to get some color down. The second coat is to kind of increase saturation and maybe create some strokes that look like hair. So you want to kind of be drawing in the direction that you think the hair might be flowing on the head right now. So I'm just kind of moving around, working in my purples, pinks, and oranges. And then occasionally I'll stop and blend some strokes in, but I'm using very light pressure because I don't want to completely lose the direction of the stroke. I just want to blend it into the ground a little bit. So I continue along with this second color pass, always paying attention for areas that seem like maybe they need a little more color or a little color adjustment. I'm trying to keep things darker towards the left side and down below, so anytime something rolls under the buffalo's head or off to the left side of his head, I'm using those darker purples and pinks. And then anytime anything is closer to the top of his head or the right side, I'm using the orange, and then even into white in some cases. White will be your highest highlight, but make sure to use it sparingly or else it kind of loses its pop. So now I'm moving on to the buffalo's body, and for this section I'm laying the chalk on its side and using very light pressure to create my strokes. Then I'll blend it in with my carpet square and repeat that process a few times until I get the colors that I want. And I'm looking to have the colors brighter and more saturated near the buffalo's head and then fading away as it moves to the left. And in this portion, make sure not to create too much chalk dust or else it'll just kind of fuzzy everything. So now that I have everything covered in color, I'm going to go back with my black chalk and reinforce some of my lines. This is going to give us a nice contrast, and the black is going to pop really well against the nice bright colors that we've been using. So this is our finished drawing. And feel free to do as many layers as you want to get the desired hair texture and color in your own drawing. And most importantly, have fun.